Oh, said the trucks. We want a proper engine, not a red monster. James took no notice and started as soon as the guard was ready. Where have you been, lazybones? Asked Thomas. Oh dear, my system is out of order. No one understands my case. You don't know what I suffer, moaned Henry. Rubbish, said Thomas. You're too fat. You need exercise. Hello, called Thomas. Playing tank engines? Sensible engine. Take my advice. Scrap your tender and have a nice bunker. Gordon said nothing. Even James laughed when he saw him. Take care, hissed Gordon. You might stick too. No fear, chuckled James. I'm not so fat as you. Toby and Percy were sent to help and came as quickly as they could. Look here, Percy, exclaimed Toby. Whatever is that dirty object? Toby thought it a great joke, but Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking he had made his paint dirty on purpose. Fancy a really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to the Fat Controller's railway. The Fat Controller came to stop the noise. Duck called me a galloping sausage, spluttered Gordon. Rusty red scrap iron, hissed James. I'm old Square Wheels, fumed Henry. Well, Duck? Duck considered. I only wish, sir, he said gravely, that I'd thought of those names myself, if the dome fits. Why should I keep my passengers waiting while Henry and James dawdle about all day on viaducts? Don't blame me, snorted Henry. If we hurried across the viaduct, it might collapse, and then you'd have no passengers at all. What would you do then? Run my train on time, for one thing, retorted Thomas. Donald, his twin, was angry. You're a muckle nuisance, said Donald. It's to leave you behind I'd be wanting. You can't, said the van. I'm essential. Oh, Kaya, Donald burst out. You're nothing but a screeching and a noise when all's said and done. Spot Dougie, would you? Take that! Oh, cried the van. There's more coming, should you misbehave. This is better, said Daisy. But whatever is that rubbish? The rubbish turned out to be Annie, Clarabelle and Henrietta, who were most offended. We won't stay here to be insulted, they fumed. What's that? Asked Bill. Shh, whispered Ben. It's Gordon. It looks like Gordon, but it can't be. Gordon never comes on the branch lines. He thinks them vulgar. Gordon pretended he hadn't heard them. If it isn't Gordon, said Ben, it's just a pile of old iron, which we'd better take to the scrapyard. No, Bill, this lot's useless for scrap. We'll take it to the harbour and dump it in the sea. Gordon was alarmed. Whee! Percy gave a ghostly whistle. Don't be frightened, Thomas, he laughed. It's only me. Your ugly fizz is enough to frighten anyone, said Thomas. You're like... Ugly indeed. I'm a green caterpillar with red stripes, continued Thomas firmly. You crawl like one too.
My funnel's cold, he puffed. I want a scarf. Rubbish, Percy, said Henry. Engines don't wear scarves. Engines with proper funnels do, replied Percy. You've only got a small one. You don't understand, Donald, how much Sir Topham Hatt relies on me. Ach, aye, muttered Donald sleepily. I'm Great Western, and I...
Quack, quack, quack.
What?
Ye heard? Quack, quack, ye go. Sounds like ye'd an egg laid. Now wheesht and let an engine sleep.
Quack yourself, said Duck indignantly. Bother, said Percy. It's that dizzy thing, Harold.
Good morning, whirred Harold. I always said railways were out of date, but you're so slow with the mail. You should give everyone their stamps back.
Percy was too tired to explain. Bird brain, he muttered. Gordon spoke severely to them.
You must behave here. You're on the main line now.
Actually, Gordon, giggled Ben, when we saw you, we thought this was the scrapyard. Gordon was cross.
I'm sorry about your accident, said Sir Handel. I always stand well back. Cars don't like me. Why didn't you warn me? I didn't think. You never do. Later, Sir Topham Hatt spoke severely to Duncan. Listen to me. There is nothing wrong with that tunnel. You stuck in it because you tried to do rock and roll. Tunnels are not dance floors, and you are not a pop star. Then Sir Topham Hatt gave his full attention to Duncan's funnel. If it happens again, he ended ominously, I shall find ways to cut you down to size. In other words, your career is on the line. Need I say more? The other engines laughed, and Sir Handel sang a song about it. Peter Sam said again and again, his new funnel will put ours to shame. Went into the tunnel and lost his old funnel. Now his famous new funnel's a drain. You're Sir Handel, I suppose. Sir Handel was standing no nonsense. And you, I suppose, are George? Yes, I've heard of you. And I've heard of you. You swank around with your steamroller wheels, pretending you're as good as me. Actually, I'm better. Goodbye.
The lorry was very rude.
What's that steaming lump of scrap iron doing here? Be off with you!
Scrap iron? Steaming scrap iron? Ha!
Oh, look, it's a little green goblin on wheels. You'll be scrapped. Just you wait and see. Well, well, well. No wonder this railway's a mess. You belong in a museum, not working in a quarry.
I might look old, but I'm very useful.
Useful? Pah! Replied the lorry. Just you tootle off.
Tootle, spluttered Toby. Percy looked at the lorry. What's this lump of steaming scrap iron? He teased. Well, 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 the Brothers Grimm. Smashed, broken, and sunk. George was cross when he saw Caroline. Call yourself a car? You're a disgrace to the road. Find yourself a scrapyard. Caroline spluttered in fury. James is getting a new coat of paint and won't stop boasting about it. Why, James? I'm the one who needs a new coat. Look at me. I'd rather not, retorted James. You're not a pleasant sight, and wouldn't understand the needs of a really important engine. If you can't push cars properly, Henry, why not talk to a tree instead? You know how much you like the forest. Your color's nice, James. Pity about your face, though, said a freight car.
Pah! You're late. That smell is making me ill.
It's the fish, replied Thomas, and there's danger on the rails. That's why we're late.
Ha! You're the only danger on the rails, Thomas.
Percy, green and small, he's no use to us at all. Around the yards he'll puff and blow, but on the hills he's oh so slow. You're much too small to pull all of us. We want another engine or we'll be struggling up the hill all night. All night, all right, you can puff and blow, but on that hill you're still too slow. The freight cars were still joking. Too slow, more power, here all night, tomorrow too. Be quiet.
Barely made it round the Cape. After 100 scary days at sea without a scratch, he sailed into port and crashed his bow, not 15 feet from my buffers. Luckily, no one was hurt. "Set my ears," wailed Cranky. "Oh, it's you," said Elizabeth, looking down at the Fat Controller. "Have you learned to drive properly yet?" "Well, Gordon," the Fat Controller said, "you wanted to show Salty a thing or two, and you've certainly done that. You've shown him how silly it is to ignore go-slow signs. Everyone thought it was very funny. You look good enough to eat," Thomas hooted. "Pudding, Percy," teased James. "Chalk ice on wheels," chipped in Henry. "Disgraceful," said Gordon pompously. "Look at the little green engine," Alicia Botti exclaimed. "So sweet and dirty, like a proper steam engine." "Peasant," Gordon huffed snootily. "Yes, I am pleasant." "Gordon doesn't have to go as fast as a jet engine. He's a steam engine." "But he's still full of hot air," whistled James. "The tracks on Toby's line are wobbly." "Huh," huffed Gordon. "Old and wobbly, just like Toby. That's not news. My boiler's grumbling." "Maybe it's grumbling at you." Spencer was embarrassed. "What do you think of Spencer now?" whispered Thomas.
Too much puff and not enough steam.